Romans 14:8. Whether we live unto the Lord. Whether we die unto the Lord. Whether we live therefore or die, we are the Lord's. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Chachodash, double honors, salutations to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, the elder bishops. Shalom to the 144,000, the governing body, pushing this word at this very hour. Shalom to the innumerable one-third, consisting of men, women, and children that were blessed with the mark of the Ruach, who's exempt from the judgment that's approaching. I'm the brother Yazrael from the GMS Dallas camp, coming back at you with a quick hit lesson, Abaratazah, meaning or willing. It is edifying unto those of you who are meant to receive it. All right, and the name of this lesson is Remember Who You Belong To. Remember who you belong to. And that title kind of came to me. I was listening to the beloved elder, my elder here in Dallas, Elder Yashawamba. Shalom, brother, if you're tuning in. He did a lesson. I was at work today and was kind of going about my day, and I was, we're able to have our earbuds in so we can actually listen. He did a lesson. I believe the title is "The Time Is Being Shortened." I believe it is. And man, when I tell you it was a very heavy, edifying lesson, I can tell that the Spirit was on him. I can tell that that was directly from the Spirit and actually from the heart. I can tell, we all are dealing with our own personal issues and things that we have to continually fight and deal with. But the things he was saying through the Spirit, which is really, really heavy. And this title came to me, he's talking about, as we all know, in this time that we're in right now, the time the Lord is shortening the time, heathens are starting to see it. Everyone can see it. Your days are just going by like a flash of light. Right in the midst of that, he was touching on the fact that, sometimes we get so boggled down with the earthly, wants and things that we have to deal with, that there just isn't enough time. You can find yourself worrying and stressing yourself out, and making haste and just, being ultimately, unfruitful, right? Because when you're in that mindset, you're not really, it's difficult to really get your thoughts together to edify, right? You find your lessons being haste, and you got that time with your woman and your children and all this. So the things that he was saying just really, really hit home. Your job, but all this ultimately is for the elect's sake. All right. So in the midst of all that, the title came to me. In the midst of everything that we fight, and have to go through here on this side of the flesh, we have to remember who we belong to, man. We have to remember who we belong to. All right. This hence the reason why I brought out Romans 14:8. For whether we live unto the Lord, and whether we die unto the Lord. Whether we live, therefore, or die, we are the Lord's. Right. So Romans 14 is about complete ownership, loyalty, and submission to Yahweh, Yahushua. All right. So even in death, basically, we still belong to the Lord. The death doesn't remove us from his authority, from his love, from his grace, right, the purpose that he has for us. Unlike the worldly marriage vows that state till death do us part, right? We, being the faithful servant of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, remains the Lord's possession in this life and in death. All right, there is no separation. All right, so as we deal with the things that you have to deal with, and you get boggled down with, the cares of this world, just remember, this world will have you thinking that, you belong to it, just because we become, ultimately we're captive here, but we become so immersed in the day-to-day in this society that sometimes it's hard, because we're in the flesh ultimately, sometimes it's hard to get out of that spirit, get out of that mode. So we have to constantly remind ourselves who we belong to. We don't belong to your job. You don't belong to your wife. You don't belong to your children. Okay? You don't belong to any possessions or anything that you have, any desires that you have in this world. You belong to the Lord. Okay? This is why Colossians 3:2 says, set your affections on things above and not on things on the earth. Right? Because earthly desires here, they're temporal. Right? Whatever joy we gain on this side is short-lived. All right? So we are to constantly prepare our minds for greatness and show forth the zeal in this thing of ours, man. So we have to constantly remind ourselves, and the water, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, forgive us, not only this ministry, but the brotherhood, all right, where we stay in constant contact with one another, continually building one another up. Zaquan mentioned that in the video too, and I thought it was beautiful. How the Lord, He pretty much laid all provisions out for us, for when we get weak, when we get, because ultimately when we get tired or frustrated or angry or, whatever emotion that may hit us in that moment, just remember who we belong to, all right, and that the Lord has set provisions. We have a body of brothers with like minds, all of us having the mind of Yahweh Shemel Shah. We're able to counsel one another. We're able to heal one another through counsel and conversation, right, and prayers, okay? So constantly remind yourself, first and foremost, when you get up in the morning, you want to praise Yahweh Shemel Shah to open your eyes and remember that you don't belong to this world and you don't belong to him. You belong to Yahweh Shah. You belong to no one else. Okay? Just want to grab one or two more precepts. This is lesson going to be too long, but the Spirit hit me just to, do a small reminder for brothers that are going through it, because we all are. 1 Corinthians 6:19. What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, which is in you, which ye have of Yahweh Shah, and ye are not your own. Right? So we don't belong to ourselves. So, whatever issues you may be dealing with, married or whatever, of course you got to spend time with your woman, you got to do all this and do all that, but, sometimes you just got to slow down. Why Yahweh Shah is slowing, is speeding up this time for a reason. All right? So as He's speeding up the time, doesn't mean that we make haste and try and be cramping everything that we need to get done in a day. All right? Putting our first love first, which is serving Yahweh Shem Yahweh, is ultimately what's of the utmost importance. Okay? And whatever situation you're in, they're just gonna have to understand it. They're gonna have to just deal with it. All right? As Aquan mentioned, we fight a fight that no one else on this earth can even comprehend. Man, we look like, just the average Joe Schmo, the average Jake out here in the streets, but our fight and our battle is something that this world can't comprehend. All right? The scriptures remind us, my son, if you come to serve the Lord, prepare thyself for temptation. All right, so the Lord is putting His men through it. We are fighting a fight that's beyond anyone's comprehension. All right? For those of you few aqua that are, that tune into the lessons and stuff, just remember that. All right? This fight is not for the weak. It's not for the faint. All right? It's literally only for the elect. Okay? And Koholo Yahweh Shem Yahshua, He's given us His Spirit, as I read here in this 1 Corinthians, as Paul mentioned in the Church of Corinth. All right? We are not our own. We don't even belong to us. Okay? 6:20. For ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify Yahweh Shah in your body and in your spirit, which are Yahweh or Yahweh Shah. See, so we are to glorify Him. Okay, don't get too boggled up with, look, at the end of the day, man's goings is of the Lord. All right, we get up, everything has been pre-written. Whatever's written in your story from day to day, that's what's written in your story. Stay fervent, stay on fire, stay diligent. All right, keep calling on the names of Yahweh, Yahweh Shah. Keep praying. All right, keep doing your duty. Yeah, I don't need to get on here and run down all the things of our ministry in our office. Brothers know what needs to be done. All right, and that's first and foremost even a reminder to myself. Okay, keep doing the things that we're doing because the Lord is on His way. All right, and don't let any situation that you may be in, pull you out of this thing or add more than you're already dealing with. All right, sometimes you gotta just let go. You gotta fall back. You gotta pull back. Sometimes, Zaquan mentioned what I thought was heavy because when he said it, even I kind of laughed. You get on social media, man, and you'll find yourself just falling, sucked into this black hole for 45 minutes. Just a bunch of nonsense. And, you have to judge the spirit by the spirit. Not to say that's wicked, but, you have to find the balance in what we do. All right? Because as I said, we are in hell and we fight a fight that no one else understands. All right? So sometimes to pull away, all right, and kind of, let go, go in a room and just kind of be by yourself, turn on the frequency and on YouTube or just sit in silence, whatever it is that you need to do, all right, or you can just, kind of hone into the spirit, all right, in this wicked and upside down world that we live in, You know, do what's necessary. All right, through the Spirit. Okay. So as he mentioned, our life is not ours to live however we want. All right. This is what Paul was saying to the church in Corinth. All right. If we live, we serve the Lord. If we suffer, we endure for the Lord. If we die, we still belong to the Lord. All right. If that whether that woman stays or goes, you still belong to the Lord. You don't belong to her and your children. That job, whether they fire you or not, you still belong to the Lord. So remember who you belong to, man. Keep that first and foremost in the front of your mind, okay? Because Yahweh Shah, he has his eyes on his elect, all right? Every moment, every hour of the day, 24/7, his eyes are on his bride, man. All right, we have to know that he is not forgotten. As a matter of fact, let me pull that James 5 and 7. I think this would be the last precept. This is James 5 and 7. Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Behold, the husband waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth. You see? So the Lord is waiting. All right, he's got his eye on us. All right, he's speeding this thing up for us for a reason. All right, so be mindful of who you belong to. Right? Goes on and said, and have long patience for it, until he has received the earlier and latter rain. You see? So Yahweh Shah's determination is not only to destroy Babylon the Great, right, to retrieve his purchased possession, which is his bride, which is us. All these things, remember, brothers, all of these things that are happening in the world, on the planet, all around the world, are happening because of us, brothers and few sisters. Abaratazah, we're that number. That's how great of a people we are. The Lord is bringing this whole planet down, all right, because of his bride. That's a heavy statement, brothers. That's a heavy statement. All right, so just remember that. All right, James 5 and 8. Be ye also patient. Establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord draweth nigh. Right, establish your mind. All right, be fully convinced in what you're involved in, brothers, and remind yourself constantly who you belong to. All right, and be proud and be bold with it, man. We don't belong to none of this bullshit here. We belong to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. All right. So anyway, I just wanted to do a quick lesson here through the Spirit of Barakazah. It was edifying as it was on my spirit. And if you brothers get a chance, check out Elias Yashawamas page. Remnant 144 saved. Subscribe and be edified. Beautiful, beautiful lessons. Call Yahweh Shai. He's giving us beautiful teachers. All right. So with that being said, I want to give all honors and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles, the elders bishops, the great millstone who do well, our teachers. And shalom to the 144,000. Let's keep pushing, brothers.